So this video is the start of a multi-part series where I'm just going to detail my ideal, Elder Scrolls game. So this will not be an acknowledgement of the way Bethesda's been going with their games or anything like that. It's just going to be what I like. So in this section, the first part one, the preamble, I'm just going to detail my history with the Elder Scrolls series and how I felt about it, like how I got into it, how I felt about it back then, how I feel about it now. And by the end of this, you'll begin to have some type of inkling of where I want to go in my ideal Elder Scrolls game. I'll also give a general outline of where I'm going with the other parts of my series. So let's get to it after the cut. So the first Elder Scrolls game I ever played was Daggerfall. And I played it for about 10 minutes and promptly gave up because I didn't understand what the fuck was going on. Then I played Arena, the very first Elder Scrolls game, and I really didn't understand what was going on in that game either. And then I played Battlespire, and I didn't understand what was going on in that game either. And then I kind of left it alone for a while. Now, all these games I played over the course of a week, because basically at my school, when I was in high school, my school's computer lab had some old-ass computers. And installed on these old-ass computers were some old-ass games. And one of some of those old-ass games were like Elder Scrolls, stuff like that. So yeah, Elder Scrolls was essentially speaking like the first three games, the first few games in that series I played, and I was not impressed with it. Now, with that being said, what Elder Scrolls game kind of made me want to play it? Morrowind. Morrowind is the game that made me say, "Oh wow, this is pretty cool." Now, it took me a long time to beat Morrowind because it wasn't my PC. But after that, I played Elder Scrolls Oblivion on the PS3. And I fell in love with that game because it was more, at the time I was more into console-style RPGs, and Oblivion was very consoleized on the PS3. So I played it, and I enjoyed it. I think Oblivion was a pretty good game. Mostly because it was easier for me to get into. Now, with that being said, Oblivion had issues too. Now all of these games that I played had graphical glitches. Daggerfall, there was times where you would load into the game and fall through the floor. Even back then, Arena had bugs, game-breaking bugs. Morrowind had game-breaking bugs. There were game-breaking bugs in those games the entire time, but people kind of let it go because, they were invested in the series. Now, Oblivion was kind of special because Oblivion was really fucking broken on the PS3. It was broken on the Xbox, the original OG Xbox as well, but the PS3 was especially broken on. Which should have not boded well for them doing Skyrim, but that's neither here nor there. But anyway, I played the Elder Scrolls. I enjoyed it for what it was at the time, and I thought, yeah, this is pretty nice. I'm enjoying this franchise. And then Skyrim hit, and I had Skyrim initially on the PS3. And let me tell you, I have never played a more broken, buggy, glitchy experience. Plus, the sheer amount of Skyrim is just a poorly designed game. There's shit that should be in that game that's not there because they stripped it out. Skyrim is where I grew disillusioned with the Elder Scrolls franchise. Skyrim is where I'm like, okay, I can't really support this. This is kind of shit. So let me encapsulate the things I like about the series and the things I don't like about the series. I like that they built this world that has its own history, its own fantasy world, and while Elder Scrolls is a ripoff of a lot of things, it's a partial ripoff of Tolkien, it's a partial ripoff of D&D, it's still its own thing. I like that. Now, the downside of that is that there's basic shit in the Elder Scrolls series that if, like, they don't take their own lore very seriously. Like, they'll do anything in order to tell a story, but their stories aren't well written either. So it kind of just, like, is like, eh. I mean, I'm a little unimpressed. So with that being said, you know, I don't like the lack of a coherent story with their games. I don't like that there isn't like a kind of, how can I put this? There isn't consistency with the lore. It's just like, oh, well, this is an interesting story. Case in point, like, they like to pretend like, well, dragons were hiding for a long time. But if you play Elder Scrolls 1, Arena, or Daggerfall, there are dragons in those games. Like, dragons aren't these mystical creatures. They have a life cycle. Yeah. So basically, my ideal Elder Scrolls would have a great story, a great setup, would exist in a dynamic world where, you know, things are going on regardless of what you're doing. And would also have bring back some combat systems that they kind of have gotten rid of for some reason, and I'm not sure why, that actually were interesting, like you know, the different types of weapons you could use and the different types of magic that you could use. So I'll get into that in part 2, where I'll do the setup for what the story and everything and gameplay systems. And then from there, I'll go to part 3, where I'll talk about the gameplay systems, and then part 4, which will be the factions and side quests and that type of thing. And my conclusion will be part 5. So without much ado, let's get into it. We'll get into it later. Here's where we'll switch off so I can show you, if you would like. You can reach me at mrredfoxbsbuster@gmail.com, or Matthew Wesley at mrredfox91, or at a Discord. The link to the Discord is in the video. It's in the description. So with that being said, that's the end of this video. Stay tuned for parts 2 through 5. I will upload those in the near future. Peace, have a good day, and arrivederci.